Now that we have our inner borders done, it's time for our outer borders. Hi everyone, Cristin Som here, and we finished up our inner borders yesterday. Aren't they so nice? So now it's time for our outer borders. The outer borders are big, so we're gonna have quite a few hoopings depending on your hoop size. So we are going to start by measuring our quilt. We always start, whenever we're gonna do borders, we measure our quilt from the center to be able to get the width and the length of the quilt. I haven't measured mine yet, actually. I think it's 32 inches, I'm pretty sure. Since we added, mine started at 30 inches and then we added the 1-inch border on each side. So it should be 32 by 32. I will add a little note in this tutorial if it's different than that, but I believe it's 32 by 32. So that means that we want 32 inches of quilting. So for our outer borders, we're going to work on our outer borders today. They are on page 35, just like our inner borders were. And you can see it is this light blue fabric with white dots and lots of flowers on it. Isn't that so pretty? That will be so pretty on this quilt. I really like this. I have not cut mine yet or stabilized it or done my batting, so we'll go over all of that together. So this is our fabric. I do stabilize mine. I'm gonna go ahead and just put it on all of this fabric and then cut it. It's easier to cut that way and it's a little bit faster. So I do stabilize mine, that's up to you, but I do recommend it. Since we're gonna cut these to width of fabric, it's not gonna be as much of a big deal because you will just cut off the excess, and if it does shrink a little bit, you should have enough extra that it will be fine. But I like the look of the stabilization and I find it easier personally. So this fabric, we are going to cut 4 strips, and all of them, excuse that sound, all of them are going to be 4.5 inches wide times the width of fabric. So the width of it, 4.5 inches. These are big borders, and then times width of fabric. So I will cut that. And then one other thing is you want to make sure to have your stars. These are our corner blocks. That's why all 4 of our outer borders are going to be the same size, because we won't need to make the top and the bottom longer because we're going to add these stars on, and that will give it that extra length. And that's also why our outer borders are 4.5 inches, because these blocks are 4.5 inches. All right, so make sure if you didn't do these earlier, you need to do this now. We did this way in the beginning, but they are on page 13, I believe. If you haven't made them already, you will need your star blocks to be able to add on to our outer borders. All right, so like I said, outer borders, mine is 32 by 32, and I am going to cut my my fabric to be 4.5 times width of fabric. You don't want to cut it down. You want to do that at assembly. You want that long, the width of fabric for your border strips. All right, and we are going to quilt them using Insect 1, Border Insect 1. So that is the one, it comes in our quilt bundle, and it has the bees, dragonflies, cherries, stars, and swirls. So that will be really cute, especially on this fabric. So Border Insect 1, and we're gonna use the 4-inch design. When you open it, you'll see, I think there's 1, 2, 3, and 4-inch. So make sure to scroll all the way down to the 4-inch. And then depending on your hoop size and how you wanna do it, there is a 4x7, a 4x10, a 4x12, and a 4x14. And I'll bring you over to the computer in a bit and we'll see what fits and how much we can fit into one hooping. My guess is we're gonna have a lot of hoopings. I think probably 6 hoopings, even using a big hoop, but we'll see. Maybe we can fit more. I'll check it and see. So like I said, Border Insect 1 in the 4-inch, and then depending on your hoop size. Now for the batting. The batting we always want to be exact, because if you're going to do it the way that I suggest, we add the batting onto the border strips and then we'll take off those first 2 steps of the quilting. And so then we want it to be exact so that our batting isn't in our seams. I have not cut my batting yet. I will be using the Kimberbell Project batting, and I am going to cut it to 4 inches times, let's see, if my quilt is 32 inches, I'm going to want it to be 31.5. 4 by 31.5. So that's for the 2 outer strips, the left and the right sides, I want those to be 4 by 31.5, but for the upper, actually for all of them, because they're going to be, yep, for all of them. So the top and the bottom as well. I was thinking, because these already have batting on these, but it's just going to be the border strips. They're going to be the same. So 31.5 inches long for your batting. And like I've said in other videos, make sure to check it as you're putting that batting strip on. So the batting, I like to use the glue stick. I will add a link here for the glue sticks. I think that they work heavenly. It's purple glue so that you can see it easily, and it dissolves, or not dissolves, it disappears right away. So that works really well. If you're a fan of the fabric spray, then that will work as well. I don't like the fabric spray. I find it very messy. So I like the glue stick. So I'm going to put the glue stick onto my batting and then put it onto the outer borders, just like we did on the inner borders. But as you're putting it on, you'll see you're kind of pushing the batting down, and toward the end it may get a little bit longer, and so you just want to check it before you get to the end to make sure that you don't have longer than 31.5 inches. And we'll go over more of that in photos when we get to that point. So outer borders today should be pretty easy. I think we're all ready to go, so let's go ahead and get started. Hey everyone, so just a warning, I know my microphone sounds a little bit weird. It's in a different location, so it's the best that I have for right now. So I'm going to open up Embellishment Essentials, and I'm going to show you how we can merge extra outer borders together. So I'm going to go to File, New Page. All right, and right now I'm on my 10 by 16 hoop. I think that's what we're going to need actually, so I'm going to leave that there. If you're not on the hoop that you need, you would go to this Preferences folder, click on that, click on the hoop size you want, say OK, and then go to this compass button and click on the H button to have it zoom into that hoop. All right, so we are going to start by bringing in the border insect 1 design. Don't forget, just a reminder, you will need these, your star blocks, to be able to complete your outer borders. All right, so I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File. And I am in my red, white, and bloom, and border insect 1. Block by block is the technique we're using. Pez is what I use for my machine. And remember, I mentioned earlier, you got to scroll through all these different sizes because there's 1, 2, 3 inches, 4 inches at the bottom. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to lean toward the 12 inch. If we do 3 hoopings of the 12 inch, it totals to 35.25 because the overall design is 11 3/4 for the length. 4.5, you want the 4.5 inch, it's 4.5 by 11 3/4. If we do 3 hoopings, that equals 35.25, whereas if we did 14 of the 14 inch size, we would have 42 inches. So you could do the 14 inches and then do the 7, or it might be a little bit quicker to use. So on the inner borders, I suggested doing 2 of the 14 inch and 1 of the 7 inch because then you can save on stabilizer a little bit. But on these, they're so wide that you're going to need a 10 inch hoop width-wise to be able to fit all of these, to fit 2 into 1 hooping. Anything smaller than 10 inches, and you really wouldn't be able to, I don't think. Let's move it over and see what we think. So I'm just going to click on it. Like I said, it's 11 3/4. I'm using my arrow key on the left, my left arrow key, to move it over. And just like before, just like always, our default 1 blue, we've got 2 of them. But don't forget I said on borders, if you're adding your batting, then you can actually delete steps 1 and 2. So you would just click over on the right, drag over to the left, and highlight steps 1 and 2 and click delete. That's if you're adding the batting onto your borders. I'm actually going to leave it on just so that I can remember to tell everyone to bypass it for those that don't delete it. But you can delete it. All right, so what I'm going to do, since I don't want these default 1 blues to join, I'm just going to click on this one, click on the color, and change it to dark aqua. Then everything will be different and they will join the way that I want them to. All right, so to have 2 of them, I'm just going to click on the design, make sure you've got all 5 steps here highlighted, selected. So I'm going to say Control C to copy, and then Control V like victory to paste. So I have two of them. It goes right on top of that first one. So I'm going to just move it over to the right hand side here, and then we can see how much room we have. So you can see there's not a whole lot of room, but we don't have a whole lot of extra fabric either. So you could probably do this in a 9x14. Let's just check. Let's see if it's 4.5. You would have a little, like it'd be really close, but again, our fabric is going to fit right inside of that. So let's just go ahead and try that. So I'm going to go to the preferences folder, and I'm going to click on my 9x14 hoop, say okay. And then we need to obviously move them. You can see this turned red because it's outside of the hoop. So we just need to click on it and move it over, and then we can see what will fit. That's pretty close. I think I better do one more. All right, and then the left arrow, it didn't like that. I moved my whole thing. That's funny. All right, so here's that second one. Click on the design and then use your arrow keys to move it over. That keeps it right in the middle. And so you can see we have like almost no space here, but that will work. So you could do a 9x14 hoop, save a little bit of stabilizer, or you can use your 10x16 hoop if you have that. You could use a 10x10 if you're going to use the 10-inch design, but then you will have 4 hoopings for each of them for the two. So I'm going to go for larger. I want the 11 3/4. That will give me 3 hoopings at 35.25 inches. So that will work. But I'm thinking I will probably use my 9x14 hoop. I have to just think about this. So if each one of these, if I click on this, each one of these is 4.5 inches, and we're cutting our fabric to 4.5 inches. So there isn't going to be any overlap, so we really don't need to worry about this overlap. It should fit right within that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm on my 9x14 hoop, and I am using the 4x12 design. 4x12 design in my 9x14 hoop. So an 8x12 would be way too tight, so I'm doing the 9x14. So that works. So I don't need to do a align and distribute because I used my arrow keys, so everything's already lined up just right. And I already changed that one so that everything, we can do a quick color sort. So the nice thing about using this 12-inch design, the 4x12 design, is I can use it on all 3 hoopings. I don't need to use the 1x14 2 times and then a 1x7. So it's just one quick software part. So that makes it a little bit quicker since we can't reduce on stabilizer anyway. So I am going to go ahead and do a color sort. So utility, color sort. And don't forget to have the same settings as I have here. Tolerance is at 0. None of these are checked to be able to get the same settings that I'm getting. We had 10 color steps. You can see it down here in the right hand corner, and it's reduced it by 5. So I'm going to click New View. It opens another tab. Here's the original tab with our 2 designs. And now they're all merged together into one. So there is our placement for our batting, which again, you can delete that. Our tack down of our batting, you don't need that either if you're adding the batting onto our strips like I'm going to. I'm just saving it in here to remind everyone to bypass in case they didn't delete it. So yours will be the placement for the strips, the border strips fabric, and then the tack down of the strips and the quilting design. So that, how easy was that? Wow. So we can only get 2 in one hooping, so we will need to do this 3 times for the 2 strips and then 3 times for the other 2 strips. So 6 hoopings. So it's going to be a big day with lots of hoopings and lots of stabilizer. And like I said, I haven't cut my batting yet, so make sure to add your batting onto the back of your strips if you're doing it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and do a file, save stitch file as. My machine is not on, so I will have to save it and send it when I turn my machine on, or I can transfer it to a USB stick, which actually I don't have next to me right now. So let's see, I want to go to my red, white, and bloom and to the quilting, and I'm going to go to those borders. It was border, what was it? Border insect one. I was thinking border animal one. No, insect. Border insect one right there. And I'm on the files, block by block. Pez is what I use. I save only the Pez so just to not bog down my computer. And this is the 4x12,
And then I'm just saying double because there's only 2. So 4 by 12 design in double. It's really 4.5, don't forget. But all right, and that is saved and that is done. And how easy was that? So I'm just going to do that 3 times. Depending on your hoop size, you can figure out what works for you. If I recall, the 14 inch is exactly 14 inch, the 12 inch is 11 3/4, the 10 inch was 9 7/16 if I recall, so just under 9.5, and the 7 inch was 7 inches. So depending on what hoops you have available, you can figure out which one that works for you. And you saw how I just added the second one in and did a quick color sort, super easy. So let's go ahead and get started stitching.
Don't you love Daddy? You're so jealous. Are you jealous? Oh my goodness, so mad. So mad. So how are you doing with your goal? Yesterday was a very full day. We went to an Eagle Scout Court of Honor and some errands, and then we fit in a bike ride. Oh, and we even laid out in the sun for a little bit. It was such a beautiful day finally. So at like 7 o'clock at night, after we ate dinner, I said, let's go for a bike ride. We need to go for a bike ride. We haven't had enough activity today. So we went for a bike ride, and it was so nice to be able to fit that in on a busy day. I really enjoyed that. And I live right near a place that has 2 little hills. They're not really bad at all. They're just little. And so I climbed both of those, got a really good workout, really enjoyed it. My husband actually did not go up the hills. He was on his road bike, so he was doing really well. He's got a new road bike that he is trying to build strength versus using his electronic bike. So he actually avoided the hills, so he didn't get that, but he's just not ready for it yet, and that was fine. So I got to do that part, and then it was fun because I got to chase him because he didn't do that part, so he was way far ahead of me. So then I got a really good workout trying to chase him. So very good workout. How are you doing with your goal? Like I said, my goal is working on strength. So the bike rides and hikes, we're going to go for a hike today. I'm pretty excited. We just got back from church. And so we're going to go for a hike this afternoon in the nice sun and a little bit of wind. It should be great. So what are you doing for your goal? I'd love to hear about it. And my shirt today is a jean jacket. So I posted in our group on Facebook, Cristin Creates on Facebook, I posted a link to a sale that Macy's was having on jean jackets. And I said, these are the jean jackets I buy. And if you haven't ever embroidered on a jacket, they're really fun to do, really fun. Because you can just, like I do one on the lapel, I do on the back, and then I do on the under the neck area of the jacket. So I do 3 different embroidery on every jean jacket, and so they had a really good sale, like a really good sale, more than half off. And so I posted it, and everybody was commenting and saying, oh, I bought this one, I bought that one, whatever. And so everybody's going to be making a jean jacket. So if you haven't seen, I do have a tutorial. I'll add a link here for embroidering on a jean jacket. And I have several of them, and I bought a couple more on the sale. So if you haven't tried it, I totally recommend it. I think it's really fun to do. So give it a try.